What did you see on film that you didn't see from the sideline last night?
Well, it's funny. You always film's always a little bit of a reality check, and so good and bad. And sometimes when you think you didn't play very well, you look at the tape and it wasn't as bad as you thought. And then sometimes when you thought you played really well, it wasn't as good as you thought. And so, it's a little bit of that. I mean, I think the thing that we did is we played hard and we played well enough to win against a good football team, but we left a lot of opportunities out there, on the field. I think offensively we didn't capitalize, on some of the turnovers, and had some opportunities to really pull away from them and didn't do it. So we got to get that corrected. That's always important that we do that. And then, they got behind us once or twice defensively. We got to get that fixed, and they had a lot of drops, which I think helped our cause. So, a lot of things that we can do better, and a lot of areas we can clean up on and improve on.
You had a couple fourth downs, I think, in like the 20, 25 range. You went for it both times. Is that because you don't feel like you guys can make a field goal from that area? Or
no, not as much. If it had been fourth and longer situations, we would have kicked them. We do a lot of the analytic stuff that kind of tells us whether or not it makes sense for us to go forward or kick or whatever. And I mean, I think you factor the wind in, and you factor, how much confidence you have that you're going to make a kick. I mean, all those are factors, but it's just part of the equation.
Mentally speaking, and not going into game plan, what does a week like this do for you? I mean, how do you prepare for a week like this?
Yeah, it's different. I mean, I don't think anybody likes Thursday night games, but I understand why we have them. You know what I mean? I mean, I can only imagine what it's like in the NFL, to play on a Sunday and then have to play again on a Thursday. But, but I understand why we have them. I think it's good exposure for our conference and good exposure for our football program. And so, Houston's on a short week just like we are, so we're not the only ones. And so we've just got to, kind of speed everything up a little bit. And obviously, having an open week 2 weeks ago helped us. We were able to take a couple of days and take a peek at Houston a little bit and get some general ideas and get a kind of a pseudo game plan together then, so that when we came in today, we could watch the last two games and update it. And that helped us, you know what I mean? Because we feel like we're maybe a little bit ahead of where we would have been had we had not had that open date. But we'll have to do a lot of teaching this week and try to get our guys to the game fresh, but at the same time, don't lose that physical mentality that we've had that's allowed us to win some ball games.
You coach with Dana. I'm curious just kind of what your thoughts are on the way that they've handled the season in terms of sitting guys who, could be playing.
What's funny, I don't really know enough about that. I mean, I think that's like most things. I mean, who knows what's really going on, and so it doesn't make any sense for me to comment on it just because I really don't know. I don't know how all that played out. So, I don't know whose idea it was. I know what people say, but how that goes. That's not always the truth sometimes. So, I think they have a good football team. They have a lot of talent. They've always Houston's always had talent. I mean, Houston's had talent, since the 70s. When they got in the Southwest Conference, and so, there's always going to be good players. There's obviously great high school football in the city of Houston. They always have a lot of speed. And this team's no different. Real explosive, skilled position players, and to me, when you look at them, the thing that stands out the most probably is that they've improved every week. I think that's the sign of a good football team, and is that they're getting better, and they certainly are.
Is there a difference in preparing for the two different quarterbacks?
Yeah, I mean, I think a little bit. I think there always is. When you don't really know which quarterback you're gonna play against. That always has a little bit of creates a little bit of intrigue, a little bit, I guess, is a way to put it. I know yesterday they played Logan and also kind of a wildcat quarterback as well, and so you have to really prepare for three different guys in some ways. But they're going to have some base plays that they run and concepts that they believe in, and all three quarterbacks can run those, and then they'll be a little bit more of an emphasis on certain areas of the game that are the quarterback's strengths, depending on which one plays. So, we're not sure what we're going to see. We'll prepare. For Tune, I'm sure that'll be the guy I would imagine that we'll see. But who knows?
How's Armani Johnson, and can you update any other injuries?
Yeah. Armani's fine. I think his hamstring tightened up on him a little bit. We had a couple of guys that had some really kind of low-level cramping that we took out of the game just kind of as precautions. But beyond that, I think we came out of the game pretty healthy.
Last year, you're building up this team, building up their confidence. And this year, I would imagine that the danger is overconfidence on their part. So how do you balance those things, and what's the difference in how you treat that?
Yeah, I think, I think just what you said is true. Confidence is probably the most underrated attribute to being successful, whether it's football or business or anything. I just think it's really, really important. But as you said, there's a fine line that's, that is counterproductive when you have too much. So it's our job as a coaching staff is to just, monitor that and keep preaching what we've been preaching. And, it's just kind of a one day at a time mentality. And then we got to do a great job of holding our players accountable and the players holding each other accountable. And we talk about it all the time. We're as good as our last practice, and it doesn't really matter what happened yesterday. It's how do we practice today, and what are our meetings like, and what's the walkthrough like tonight, and did we accomplish what we need to accomplish? And so, I think we're not a real big picture outfit. We try to just kind of keep it, keep it down to what we can control, and that's just preparing and playing hard and doing the best we can.
So you're not doing the Nick Saban thing, turn over tables after a win, that kind of stuff?
No. I mean, like I said, we're going to point out the areas where we didn't play well. I mean, that's for sure, and there's a lot of them. And you know how it is. Sometimes games, you don't tell the whole story. The score isn't really tell you the whole story in both ways. Sometimes you play well, and for whatever reason the game gets away from you and you lose. And then other times, like yesterday, you look at the score and you go, oh, well, they really got after them, and we did to an extent. But there were a lot of opportunities to do things better, and missed opportunities.
When you have a short week like this, do you and your staff simplify the game plans for your offense and defense, or is it more of a cram session, try to get a full week into 3 days?
We're still kind of working that out, trying to figure it out. I think, look, you've got your basic plays that you run, and and what you try to do is when to address them a little bit to try to, keep the other team from getting too comfortable. And you do that every week. I mean, the open week's not any different. You have some plays that are designed to work against a certain coverage or a certain front that you're going to see. And then sometimes you see it, and sometimes you don't. That's the thing about it is you've always got to adjust during ball games because you never really completely know what you're going to see. You think you do. You get into the game, and sometimes it's different. So, what we have to do is make sure that we don't lose our fundamentals and our focus on just improving our basic stuff that we do every day. We'll have some wrinkles like we do every week, and we've got to make sure that we can execute those and well enough to be able to run them in the ball game. And that's kind of the balance that you try to strike.
As of this afternoon, you guys are now the highest ranked Group of 5 team.
Okay.
If everything falls into play,
Right?
Cotton Bowl for you
Yeah,
guys.
yeah.
What's been harder, getting there or maintaining?
Oh, I don't know. I don't know that we've, I don't know that we understand any of that right now. I mean, I think the thing with us is, again, it's, we've talked about this at length with our guys is, I mean, everybody will kick us to the curb pretty fast. You know what I mean? And they'll say, hey, you guys weren't, you were what we thought you were. So I think there's a higher standard that we have to play to, and when you're not in a Power 5 conference, and I mean, that's part of it. We understand that, and it is what it is. And I think we're on a daily fight for respect, but at the same time, we got to deserve it. And we have to play at a really high level, and we know that. I mean, this team, we're not good enough to not play well and win. And our players know that, and they believe that. We certainly understand that as a coaching staff, and so we have to have practice well and go play well, and that's just the way it is.
It feels like you play a lot of coaches this year you've worked with at some point or have
Yeah.
a really close connection to. Is that a little bit unique for you this year, you feel like?
Yeah, it's weird. I guess it just means I'm old, just old and been around. Yeah, it's funny just because it has been unusual that way where we've played a lot of guys I'm pretty familiar with and know well or have worked with at some point. I think it's probably, a lot of it has to do with just being back in Texas, and this is kind of where my roots are, and a lot of the people that I've worked with, it's their roots as well. I think that's probably has as much to do with it as anything else.
So at what point do you have to start making your UCF argument? 8-0, 9-0, 10-0?
You know what? No, I mean, I won't be doing any of that. I always think that your your work speaks for itself. You know what I mean? And you know, when you're done playing, then you can, you know, go and grovel and beg or whatever you have to do. You know, if you're still standing at the end, but no, that's not going to be my thing. I mean, we're just trying to win ball games, and I think the good thing is our conference gets enough respect, so that, you know, whether it's us or somebody else that comes out of the league, you know, I think that there's going to be a level of respect that is deserved.
Do you feel like you're going to be answering questions at some point about if, you know, playoff teams could come from this conference?
Yeah, I hope so. I mean, I hope, like I said, I hope if it's not us, it's somebody from our league, and because that just makes everybody better. But again, same thing. We gotta do what we can do, and that's just, you know, try to get ready to win on Thursday night.
How important is this upcoming game for a recruiting standpoint?
It's always big. I mean, I think this is, you know, I think it's important just because, you know, we recruited a lot of the same guys. You know, there's always going to be a battle between, I think, SMU and Houston, whether it's over Dallas kids or some Houston area kids. So it's really important. You know, I think that, you know, again, for us, just establishing credibility with recruits is important. And so the more games we win, the more credibility we get. And this is just the next game in that process.
Does that mean the Dallas uniforms will make an appearance on Thursday?
I don't know. We'll see. We'll probably talk to the players a little bit and kind of see what they want to do. But it makes sense that they might.
Do you think with this 4-game rule that it can, like in college football, create this wrinkle where teams can choose or players can choose to do what Houston's done? And is that a concern for college football coaches, you think?
You know what? I don't know. I mean, I think everybody has to run their program the way that they think is the best. You know, and like I said, I don't pretend to know anybody else's circumstances or what's going on. So, you know, everybody's trying to do the best they can to be successful and to win football games. And so, you know, I think there's always decisions that are made, whether they're made publicly or privately, you know, that are like this, that are similar type decisions. And so, you know, I think that, I mean, it's different obviously because it's a new rule, and so there's a different maybe way of applying it than there has been in the past. But people always made, you know, redshirt decisions or non-redshirt decisions, and now they're just a little more public than they have been in the past.
So you're 7-0 now, and it seems like the national media still wants to talk about the past. Is there ever a time where you and your staff are looking at the media and saying, how about we focus on the present?
Yeah, I don't think really, from our perspective, I don't think we care that much. I mean, you know, look, the story's the story, you know, the truth's the truth, and the reality's the reality. And so, you know, none of us were here to be a part of it, and none of our players were even born. And so I don't think any of us worry too much about it. I mean, I see it differently because, you know, I have a lot of, you know a lot of people and have gotten to know a lot of people, SMU people that, you know, lived through that and went through it. And so I think that it's, you know, it's still something that I think everybody's ready to move on from. And it's still something that gets brought up, and I certainly understand why, because it's part of the story that needs to be told. But at the same time, I mean, I think everybody around here is kind of ready to move on.